So, in the earlier part, we have discussed the introduction of the Henry Fayol's Principles of Management. Now, we'll discuss in detail because there are 14 principles of management. We'll discuss the all the principles in details and the violations of it. So the first point, division of work, as I have stated earlier, division of work means that division of the total organizational task into compact jobs, into clearly stated and well defined jobs for each individual, and allocating and assigning these compact jobs to different persons in the organizations, matching with their educational qualifications, so that an employee can know in what manner the employee is contributing to the organization, and employee can concentrate on the only one specific particular type of work. And therefore, when the employee puts in the effort and puts in the focus and concentration on only one type of work, so it helps to increase and enhance the efficiency by making optimal utilization of the resources and avoiding the wastage of resources, time, and effort. So, when an individual does or carries out the same job repeatedly in the organization, the employees acquires the efficiency, effectiveness, speed, accuracy in performance. So, this division of work helps to increase the efficiency, effectiveness, leading to the optimal utilization of resources. Moving on to the next, which we have discussed earlier, authority and responsibility. As I have stated, authority implies the right to instruct the subordinates to get the work done, while responsibility is the obligation to perform the assigned task. So, as I have stated, the superior has the authority. So, anyone who has the authority or exercises the authority is the superior, and anyone who accept that is known as subordinate. So, authority and responsibility are coexistent, and they are very much should be going hand in hand, and they are leading to the equilibrium of the organization, because authority without responsibility will make a person irresponsible behavior, while responsibility without authority will make a employee or a person ineffective. While moving on to the next point, discipline, as I've stated earlier, discipline implies obedience, respect of authority, and observation of all the rules, regulations, protocols, etc. So, discipline is very necessary and important and an essential requisite for the smooth functioning and running of the organization. So, discipline means obedience, respect, and observation. While moving on to the fourth principle, unity of command states that according to this, an employee should receive orders from only one superior at a time and be accountable to that same superior. So, no person or no employee can serve dual masters or several masters at the same time. So, unity of command, I repeat once again, unity of command states that an employee should receive command from one superior only and be accountable to him. No employee can serve several masters at the same time, and if a subordinate has more than one boss, then dual command will lead to weaken discipline, divide loyalty, chaos, delays, create confusion. So, if there is a violation of unity of command, it leads to the following adverse effects such as confusion and indiscipline, duplication of work, divided loyalty and disobedience, lack of responsibility, disrespect for superiors, and overlapping of orders and instructions. So now we move to the fifth principle, that is unity of direction. Unity of direction, as I've stated in the earlier video, that each organization have a group of activities and each group of members and employees are having the same objectives. So there should be one head and one plan for a group of activities. So each group of activities with the same objective must have one plan of action under the control of one superior. I would like to repeat once again, unity of direction states that unity of direction means that there should be one head and one tail, one plan for a group of activities having the same objective. Each group of activities with the same objective must have only one plan of action and must be under the observation and control of one superior. So, unity of direction is concerned with the activities, while unity of command relates to functioning of people. So, unity of direction relates to the functioning of the organization as a whole. Now moving on to the sixth principle, subordination of individual interest to general interest. So, subordination of general interest to individual interest to general interest means an organization is bigger than the individual objectives or interest. So, interest or objectives or goal of the organization should be given priority, should be given significance and importance upon the personal interest of individuals. So, the interest or goal of the organization must prevail upon the personal interest of the individuals. In order to attain and accomplish organizational goals and achieve supremacy of group, managers must set up a good example and they must be firm but reasonable in dealing with subordinates, and constant monitoring, constant scrutinizing and supervision is necessary to prevent promotion of personal interest. So, in order to achieve subordination of individual interest to general interest or common interest, it is very necessary that employees are very dedicated, honest, sincere, and loyal towards the attainment of common organizational or general interest. So, there should be always that the employee should focus on putting priority on the attainment of organizational goals rather than serving their individual interest objectives. So, manager must put up a good example and do constant supervision so as to prevent their individual interest, and the employee should be dedicated, honest and loyal for attainment of general interest. And next we move to the next seventh principle of Henry management, Henry Fayol's, remuneration. As I've stated, remuneration means the amount of wages or salaries which is payable in cash and kind. So the remuneration which is paid by the organization or employer should be fair, reasonable and satisfactory both to the employees and the employer. So as I have said, the remuneration is a fuel, it is an incentive which drives and propels the employees to work harder, dedicatedly, honestly. So the remuneration must be rewarding the effort so as to motivate the higher productivity. So this is known as remuneration. We move to the next uh, point, that is centralization. So as I've stated, everything that increases the importance of subordinates role is decentralization, and everything that reduces the importance of subordinates role is centralization. And as I've said, centralization and decentralization is a matter of proportion, and the right proportion between centralization and decentralization should be decided keeping in purview the circumstances of the particular and specific case, and there should be a proper balance between centralization and decentralization. Now moving on to the next point, that is scalar chain. As I've discussed in the earlier video, that scalar chain refers to the hierarchy or pyramid of the organizational structure. It refers to the chain of superiors from the top structure or the top hierarchy, the ultimate authority, to the lowest rank or the lowest bottom pyramid. So the prescribed chain of the organization structure and the command should be followed, and communication should flow through the established chain of command from top to bottom. However, if there is a need so to facilitate and enable quick communication between the links in the chain, a gangplank or a direct contact is being created, and this gangplank is created so that the communication can be done very fastly and very smoothly, so as to avoid delays and difficulties in communication, because this gangplank helps to have a direct communication between the structure. Now we move to the next point, that is order. As I've stated in the earlier video, we have discussed order means that there should be the proper place for proper each place should be occupied by the each thing, and there must be order in a enterprise, and there are two types of order which we have discussed: material order and social order. Material order states that a proper place for everything and everything should occupy in the right place, while social order means a place for everyone and everyone should be occupying place in the appointed. So the organization should always emphasize and stress putting the right man at the right job would lead to optimal utilization of resources and smooth functioning of an organization. But if there is a violation of this order principle, it will lead to some adverse effect. The violation of order lead to some adverse effects such as wastage of resources, confusion, chaos, and delay in the working of the organization, and increase in the cost of operations. Now we move to the next point, that is equity. As we have discussed, equity means each employee should be treated with fair, equality, justice, kindness, and each employee should not be discriminated. So the management and the organization should treat each and every employees in the organization with justice, kindness, and with equality. So there should be a equality of treatment in dealing with subordinates, and there should be no sorts of discrimination, partiality, biasness, no nepotism, no favoritism should be there, because these are very bad and injurious and hampers the motivation and morale of the employees. Now we move to the next Henry Fayol's principle of management, that is stability of tenure. Stability of tenure, as we have discussed in the earlier video, that The job should have a sense of security, a reasonable security of services, so that it does not have any frustration, worriness, or panic. So, a reasonable sense of security of services should be provided to all the employees. So, whenever there is a stability of tenure, there is a sense of security and stability to the employees. So, stability of tenure helps the employees to develop attachment, honesty, dedicated efforts from the employees towards the employer's end. So, unnecessary labor turnover or change of personnel increases the cost of selection and training and spoils the image of the firm. So, stability of tenure means that there should be a security of service, and each employee should be given a reasonable security of services so that they should not have any fear or worry or panic, and there should be no unnecessary labor turnover, and which helps to spoil the image of the firm. And violation of this stability of tenure gives or provides some harmful and adverse effects to the organization. That is, a feeling of insecurity among employees, reduction in the efficiency of the employees, disturbance in the work routine. So, this is known as the stability of tenure and its violation. Now we move to the 13th number point, that is your initiative. So, as in the earlier video we have discussed, initiative means devising or taking some, giving some participation through ideas, suggestion, opinions, views. So, employees working in the organization should be encouraged and given the opportunity to think out, to bring and devise some new ideas, opinions, thought, views, and execute the assigned task in a better way. So, subordinates should be subordinates or the employees should be motivated and inspired to suggest improvements, ideas, viewpoints, suggestion, etc. in the formulation and implementation of plan. Next, we move to the 14th point, that is esprit de corps. As we have discussed, esprit de corps means the unity is the strength, and strength of an enterprise lies in the cooperation, harmony, mutual coordination in the individual efforts. So, esprit de corps means there should be a team spirit, a group spirit, and a cooperation, coordination among the members. So, unity of strength and strength of enterprise lies in the cooperation, harmony, peace, team spirit, and cooperation. So, group efforts, when they are combined, are more than the aggregate of individuals. So, strong motivation, recognition of contributions made by the employees, mutual cooperation, constructive approach by the managers, and effective coordinations helps to achieve the esprit de corps in an organization. So, we have discussed all the 14 points in detail, in bits and parts, and all of you commerce students of class 12, your task is to watch the video several times to catch the meaning and grasp the meaning and content and concept clarity of it, and refer the textbook, read all the lines thoroughly, precisely, carefully, and attentively. And you know your exams are of MCQ type, so there will be ABCD's option given. So if you're ticking the right option, it will carry 1 marks, and if the option is incorrect, it will give you no marks. So be very cautious, give your time dedicated, and be honest and loyal towards your studies, and revise from chapter 1 to chapter 6, learn all the lines from chapter 1 to business environment till management, and if any sorts of doubt arises, do revert back it to me so I can provide you the required assistance.